when you look at the cities in which we chose to bring on an impactful sponsor, our sales have grown 10 to 25% after 1 year. So you can see, if you believe in the elements, if you believe in the journey, if you believe the team is the right team to help you deliver that message, you start to see and you start to become top of mind.
Welcome to My Best Campaign. I'm Amanda Lee Smith, CEO of Monday Creative. So brand partnerships are almost a joke these days. Literally just today, I saw a partnership that just came out between Heinz and Herschel, the bag company. And of course, that comes on the back of a mashup between Heinz and Absolute Vodka. I've also seen Burt's Bees and Hidden Valley Ranch, Crocs and KFC, and honestly, at this point, who hasn't Crocs partnered with? And this past spring, I was in New York at the Lead Summit, and I was absolutely captivated by one of the speakers talking about another kind of brand partnership that just seemed nuts to me. But the more I listened, the more I understood that it was actually absolute genius. Which is why I reached out to that speaker, Austin Hodges, who is leading global marketing, growth, and design at Nuna. If you're a parent, you know that Nuna is the premium brand for strollers and car seats. And if you're a parent and a sports fan, then you may know that Nuna absolutely dominates in professional sports partnerships. They have deals locked in with the Dallas Cowboys, the Boston Red Sox, the Padres, Paris Saint-Germain, and even the LA Dodgers. It's a sore spot for me as a Canadian, but it turns out Austin is pretty good at knowing which horse to back. Babies in sport might not seem like a natural partnership, but Nuna's approach is not only working, it's a total game changer. And these deals make perfect sense when you learn that before Nuna, Austin was head of global NBA marketing at Adidas, where he was leading all athlete and corporate partnerships for basketball and negotiating some of the brand's biggest basketball deals. In our episode today, Austin explains how those partnerships work at Nuna and the impact they have on the brand. He also talks about the big failures that got him here, and he gives some good insight into his leadership style and his approach to tough conversations, which honestly gave me a lot to think about. He's got a ton of wisdom, so let's just dive in. Austin, you hit a major milestone in your career. When you were at Adidas, you were actually leading negotiations for the brand to establish a long-term relationship as the NBA's official apparel provider, which is a big deal. Walk me through the steps that got you to that place in your career.
Yeah, it was actually a lot of failure to start. I tried to start my own creative agency with my best friend, Omar Leary. That didn't work out too well. Organizing a lot of focus groups, consulting on photo shoots to make sure that the actions were live and realistic with Nike and Adidas and all of that. The dollars were inconsistent.
It's a real
made
thing.
a lot of mistakes there. Yeah, very real thing. And so it ultimately failed at that, but great experience. And then tried to create my own product as well. Failed there. So those are two big, I would say, milestones for me. I applied for multiple positions within Nike and Adidas that I thought that I was right for and couldn't land the right one. And a lot of failure. But then I went back to school, went back to the basics, was blessed to have a program like U of O's SPM. I was a part of the first class. There was nothing like it in the industry. And then someone at Adidas gave me a chance. And I feel like that's the start of any good story, someone giving someone a chance.
Totally. So SPM, that's sports product marketing or sports product management?
Yes, correct.
Is that sort of like the guaranteed path into a role at one of these brands? Or when you look at your cohort, did everyone kind of end up at a bunch of different places?
I would say everybody ended up in a bunch of different places. I don't think that any grad school program will guarantee to land you anywhere. I feel like it gives you the tools. The good thing about SPM is it gave me an in-depth look of every single function along the 18-month product timeline for sports brands. And that applies to every other industry as well. So deep into development, learn how to create a tech pack from scratch. And it helped me learn what I wanted to do as much as what I did not want to do.
Yeah.
and then all the way to go-to-market efforts in marketing materials and trade marketing and merchandising and all of it. So it definitely gives you the tools. I would say that grad school and that program specifically, it raises your ceiling. It doesn't do anything to your floor.
Yeah. I mean, probably would have been really, really helpful a few years earlier when you were trying to launch your own product and trying to launch an
Yes.
agency.
Yes, 100%, 100%. But I was able to find different holes in my knowledge gap. I was able to meet people and learn from their mistakes as well. And once you get the tools, it's all on you.
Yeah. So going from that to this job at Adidas, I mean, you made it sound like a lucky break. I suspect it wasn't just a lucky break. What were the steps that went from completing this program, meeting that person at Adi, and then actually getting a job offer?
Yeah, it's a crazy story, actually. I actually turned down Adidas the first time, and I was heading to Nike. I accepted a job at Nike, and then I got a call back afterwards, and I was on a road trip. And they said that I was an amazing talent, and they wanted to work something else out. And they wanted to bring me into the sports marketing team to touch all other functions. I had a really cool mentor at the time. He was the head of Nike basketball by the name of Kevin Dotson. And he told me straight up that these opportunities don't come around too often. And so the opportunity came, and I then told Nike no and went to Adidas.
Ooh,
and
bold.
Yeah, bold. The cool thing about Adidas is that there is very much so a culture of functional ownership. So you get a project, you get a role, you get a job, you get a budget, you have an opportunity to prove what you can do. And so little by little, I was able to improve on other people's mistakes again, but also create new processes and new practices, organize new teams, and taking on that huge contract of the NBA sports partnership. It was huge.
What would you say was the secret to advancing at a company like Adidas?
I would say the number one rule is don't be an asshole.
Good rule.
Seriously, because I feel like everybody is pretty grateful to be in the industry. Number two is to know what you're talking about or don't speak. I think a lot of people like to get into the meetings and they like to take up airtime if they don't have anything good to say or anything productive or they don't know what they're talking about. Just shut your mouth. Third, just do the preparation as well. There's a lot of prep that goes into not only getting to a point to where you can negotiate, but also understanding the impacts of what you're trying to receive. So if you get this point in the contract, what does it mean for the brand next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now when you need to renegotiate again? So the prep work is huge. And people rally around people who embrace those three principles, especially if you're prepared and you're nice to everyone and it's a true collaborative effort. There's no end.
Yeah. So that role that you ended up in at Adidas, for a lot of people, that would be like a career pinnacle. And especially for you, you're a basketball guy, if I'm not mistaken. There's a gold basketball behind you if anyone's not watching. To then go and, if I look at your LinkedIn, it would seem to a lot of people like a really wild transition to spend 6 years in sports marketing at one of the world's biggest brands and specifically, leading NBA marketing at the brand. And then boom, making a move to what is essentially a baby brand. You're now at a brand called Nuna.
Yeah.
Tell me about making that transition.
I never thought that I would leave. I thought I was going to be a lifer there. Again, I grew up in the world of basketball. Basketball has opened doors for me that I didn't think possible, whether it's team building and exercise, the love of the game, all of that. And I had some amazing friends, colleagues, and leaders at Adidas. Well, one of my best friends, Brandon Walker, who went to Meta around the same time I went to Nuna, best friend for life. And then I had leaders who laid the groundwork for me is doesn't even begin to capture what they did. Chris McGuire, for me, he was the head of sports marketing for all sports. He never got in my way. All he did was give me the tools to be successful and downfield block for me. Simon Atkins, Rashad Williams, Aaron Sebron, Cam Mason, all of these amazing partners. But then I was given an opportunity to become the first CMO for Nuna. And they had a unique problem to solve. They had the best product in the world. I had 2 young kids at the time, so I was familiar with it. They were high end and they were luxury. And the president at the time, Brad Bickley, he wanted to give me a chance and he wanted to create a true brand, a true luxury brand. And at first I was like, there's no way. And then I thought about the opportunity a lot more. And then I thought about this. so many people from the sportswear industry claim to do X, Y, and Z. It's really hard to trace the genesis of your wins and trace the genesis of what you're ultimately responsible for. I don't know how many people I've met in my journey that said they created Nike.com, or they were the ones who signed Run DMC, or they were the ones who told Jordan not to take this shot there. You know what I mean? There's always a bit of inflation for what they were ultimately responsible for. So it would be hard from the outside world for them to trace the genesis, again, of my success, my leadership style, how I approach strategy. And I felt like if I could do it at Nuna, it would be unquestionable and unstoppable. And it started with a chance. He saw the same thing as well, the president, and still my boss now. And he's very much so similar to my boss at the time, Chris McGuire and Simon Atkins, who pretty much gave me the ball and got out the way.
Amazing. You're obviously a high performer to end up in that role and, progress at Adidas, but you are an interesting choice for a baby brand. What do you think it was that they saw in you that drew them to you?
He's a huge sports fan. And so he followed my journey. And I do believe that he was captivating by our approach to storytelling within Adidas basketball and how it translated into NFL and MLB marketing. I still think that the sportswear industry is the best industry when it comes to true brand creation, true storytelling. And we were very high end at that time. A lot of high end collaborations with Prada, Gucci. We had a huge above the line spin. Every big moment, whether it was NFL or NBA, All-Star Game finals, Super Bowl, we always had a presence. So he saw where the brand could ultimately go and what a big brand could look like. And he wanted to bring that level of storytelling to Nuna.
Yeah. And you've really grown it into so much more than you originally got hired for. For those of us who don't have kids, can you explain what is Nuna and then kind of the whole suite of brands that has been built up around it?
Yeah, so Nuna is the #1 high-end juvenile brand in the world. So car seat strollers, but now we have clothing as well, which will launch in November, which is pretty good. It's already launched in Europe. So we have a clothing line for kids all the way up to adults. And I stole one of my Adidas friends, Whitney Grant, to come and lead and be the head of product. And I'm serving as the head of design, and she's my boss now. And she's leading the project through. And yeah, we're #1 in the world. We're very much so high end. We're luxurious, and we're defined by who we do not sell to as much as who we do. So huge partners of ours are Nordstrom's, Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel, Dillard's, Bloomingdale's, and you won't see us on Amazon, Walmart, or anything like that. So great product, premium stories.
Yeah. And the clothing brand, that's Tavo?
No, the clothing brand is Nuna.
Nuna.
Tavo. Yes, sorry,
There's a whole
Tavo.
other family of brands.
Yeah, exactly. The clothing line wardrobe will sit under the Nuna umbrella, and it'll be a part of the Nuna brand. And then Tavo, since we've been the industry leader for 10 years when it comes to kids, we thought we'd bring that same expertise to pets. So you talk about a learning opportunity. We just launched that brand, I want to say 2 years ago now. And that was from zero to in market from a marketing perspective in 6 months. So we had no brand, and we created a brand identity, a whole global toolkit, strategy, and all that in 6 months. And we're live. We're off to a great start.
Globally,
yes, globally. So in
Wild.
every country you can think of. And then when it comes to the third brand, which is Hedgren, that is a brand we acquired in North America, and it's all luggage and backpacks and bags in a completely different industry. And I'm serving as the head of design there. Stole a gal from Nike by the name of Sabrina Jones. And we have the same setup as we have on the Nuna wardrobe side, to where she's the head of product and she's doing everything from product marketing and development, and I'm doing the design, and I report to her. So multiple industries, multiple brands, a lot of fun.
and consistently the approach of hiring people who are even smarter and even more accomplished in their area than you are.
Oh yeah, I believe I can't ask for a level of autonomy and freedom without giving the same. And I truly believe, especially no matter what industry you're in today's workforce, nobody wants to be micromanaged. And if it's somebody that you need to micromanage, they don't need to be in your team because they're not going to propel you forward. So I embrace being around people who are smarter than me and can go deep in any level of functional expertise that I can.
Yeah. In our previous conversations, what really struck me was your leadership style. And I suspect that our listeners are going to be able to pick that up as we're chatting. But there is something really unique about how you lead and how you think about empowering your team. But that's not specifically what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about a very surprising strategy that but not surprising for anyone that knows your background, but not the strategy you'd ever expect for a baby brand. So sports partnerships has been a core pillar of your strategy for Nuna, the baby brand. Tell me about this, and tell me, is this something that you drove once you came into the brand? You were just like, I know this, so I'm going to do this, or was this a core reason why you were brought on?
Yeah, number one, you brought up a good point. Nobody else is doing it, which means we probably should be doing it. I think when it comes to any form of marketing, you want to find a blue ocean, just like when it comes to traditional forms of business, and talk to consumers where your competitors are not. I think that it was a huge component of why I was brought, because again, our president is visionary, and he saw an opportunity through sports, through engagement. It's a chance to speak to a consumer organically and provide a premium experience for them. And once you get the model and the recipe for success, you can duplicate it. And it starts with being a good partner. So yeah, I do feel like it's a huge reason why he brought me here. And I don't think that I would have came without that component, to be honest. I don't know if I was smart enough to do that, but it's provided such an unorthodox method of brand communication and delivery that our competitors are very much so far behind, and it's very hard for them to duplicate.
I mean, how could they? You have the relationships, you have the industry know-how, you have such an edge in that space. I don't know how anyone could keep up. And they're not thinking about dad the way you're thinking about dad, right?
Oh, yes, 100%. Dads make up a huge part of the purchase, even though moms lead the journey. But also as well, if I want to speak to mom and dad, I can provide an experience for both and for kids. We're not looking to provide experiences only to those who are in the market. We want to make it feel like we're a brand for the rest of your life that you want to follow and be a part of. So when it comes to a lot of the sports partnerships, it's all about providing a premium experience, right? Mm-hmm. Or telling a unique story with athletes. So one that I love for the Portland Trailblazers, we redid their breastfeeding room, and nothing cheap, high-end furniture built on privacy, built on accessibility and ease, and we take the cost for that. We don't do anything cheap. And we provide baby showers for military wives with our San Diego Padres. We provide educational seminars and install opportunities. We have stroller parking with the San Diego Padres, so when you want to bring your kids and you want to walk the stroller around, we park the stroller for you. And then we have documentaries, and we have long form and short form content opportunities to dive deeper into what makes family fun and all the good and bad parts of being a parent.
Yeah, you're starting to shed some light on what that looks like. You know, when I first encountered you, it was at the Lead Summit in New York. I heard you talking a little bit about these sports partnerships. And as someone that, doesn't have children, hasn't deeply connected with the brand, in my head, I just jumped to what traditional sports partnerships look like. Sponsorships, like, are you shooting an athlete who's just had a baby? Like, what does this look like? And as we've started talking more, I understand, no, this is like really holistic. You're thinking about the fans and you're thinking about the spaces. So you started to give some examples of what goes into one of these partnerships. What would like a typical engagement look like? And are you more partnering with teams? Are there ever individuals? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think you asked a good question. None of our partnerships are the same. And I think it's based off of, obviously it starts in the partnership negotiation, but there's a key word, there's partner. So I think that one thing that I've realized and I've brought to this brand is that we have something to offer besides dollars, right? Besides marketing dollars. Fans and moms will want to be a part of a team experience if they know that we're there. So understand that we're not just a checkbook like when I was at Adidas, a lot of sports partners would see. But then we look at each team and how they engage with their fan base in a different way. I'm not too big on signage. I think that it's an element that you can throw in at the end, but it's not personal. We don't need any share of voice. We don't need any brand recognition. We don't want that. We want stories. So if I look at our partnership with the LA Dodgers, for an example, we have a split between Nuna and we have it split between Tavo. So we have baby and pets. And their pet day at the park, we're the lead sponsor, and we do it all for them, right? When it comes to their players, providing those experiences, we do it all. And that's completely different than how we approached Paris Saint-Germain, which is our women's team. And that's on the other side of the world, right? It's in France. And we want to tell stories of these superheroes, these women who are athletes and parents. And we want to shed a light on what they go through, but how they impact the world and why they're so special. So one's in person, one's digital. And then when it comes to PSG, we're the official, we're on the jersey and we have a co-branded product collection with them. That's the only partnership in the world to where we have co-branded product. And it's because they interact with their fans in a different way. So
just by nature of being a women's team?
100%, yes. We look at every sports partnership completely different. That's when you fall in the trap, when you try to establish a rule of thumb or a methodology that works for all, because it just doesn't.
Yeah. How do you assess what teams are going to be a great fit? Like, you can't sponsor every team. You really are spreading, covering the gamut in terms of sports. How do you decide?
Well, it's not through email. I mean, if you can see my email, how many teams reach out to me saying, hey, would it be that's not how we do things. I think that we travel and we look at markets and we look at teams and we look at areas of opportunity. So again, that's how our LA Dodgers partnership came to be, because we wanted to create a different story and a different level of presence within that market. So then we have all the teams at our disposal. And I'm not saying that the Rams or the Lakers, because I love the Lakers, I work with them quite a bit, but the in the park aspect and what the Dodgers were offering and the length of their season, and it became the perfect partnership for us. And so we don't evaluate by usual metrics, and it never comes down to cost for us. And it's something that we have fun with. We have our head of sports marketing, who also leads a lot of effort on our brand side. He's amazing. He's going to games. He's sneaking in. He's evaluating the opportunities. It's all from us. We get to have fun.
Yeah. So you're just on the ground assessing the atmosphere, the stadium, the team, what seems like a good fit, and then you get to initiate.
Oh yeah, we reach out and we're fans. I think that's a huge component of it. Kiana Jensen, who just started on our team, head of brand, she came from Adidas as well, and she's leading a lot of new sports partnership initiatives. She's a fan. We're all fans in the office, and that's the fun part of it. We don't want to do anything if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of thought goes into it. There's no playbook that's replicated across. How do you know what to budget for something like that when it's completely different every time? And how do you measure the return?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing and the best thing that I could do is not to put traditional ROIs on any sports partnership, right? So we're not going to measure traffic, any stores. And we do everything. Most of our sales come from our trade partners, right? Nordstrom, Pottery Barn. So we're not going to measure traffic, although we do have a traffic driving element with a lot of our sports partners. And we really focus on egress handouts and being able to provide, again, a unique and thoughtful and purposeful experience for fans. So we can bring them in and give them something that nobody else in the country can get, right? We have that side of it. But then it goes into another category of, if I were a fan of said team, would I look at Nuna favorably based off this experience? And that's the number one KPI after everything else. And we have to rid ourselves, because we can't come to market as an insecure brand. We're high end, we're luxury. We're not trying to be in your face when you don't want us to be. So if I were to walk through those turnstiles or into that arena, did I have a positive experience? And the rest takes care of itself. Now, when it comes to budget, that's something completely different, especially when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to the changes in the market. There are a bunch of factors there. But again, I think it comes back to contract negotiation and understanding when it comes to the price, we have something to offer that other brands don't, right? You're not going to tell me, if you're a team, when it comes to that, when it comes to the negotiation, that our competitors are knocking down your door to take our spot. Right? We're not looking to kick anybody out. You can have another baby brand in there if you want to. They're not going to be able to do it like us. And that's probably not true partnership. So it's at the beginning and the end.
Okay. You talked about your criteria for success, which is, did they have that favorable experience? Yes. How are you actually measuring that sentiment?
Well, a lot of it comes from a lot of the teams have different ways of measuring, and it's really, really helpful. I think that one way that with the Dallas Cowboys, they've done a really, really good job of measuring sentiment on all of our co-created content, right? So we had a kicker who came in and pretended to have a baby in a Nuna stroller and asked random fans if they would watch the baby and see their reaction. And then so you have that fun side of it. But then when it comes to, like I said, the baby showers or giveaway events, we invite media to these events as well. And we try to focus on media of those who are parents to provide that seamless experience. And it stretches from there and it resonates. And I will say when you look at the cities in which we chose to bring on an impactful sponsor, our sales have grown 10 to 25% after 1 year.
Wow.
So you can see, if you believe in the elements, if you believe in the journey, if you believe the team is the right team to help you deliver that message, you start to see and you start to become top of mind. I think that's one point that I didn't mention. We're an evergreen market. We have an evergreen consumer. It's appointment viewing. If you're speaking to our consumer when they're pregnant, well, then it's too late. They should have heard about you beforehand, right? And being always on with these sports teams through the varying seasons, the varying sports, allows us to be always on and top of mind. So that's why there is a bit of a limit to how we measure ROI, because if we measure it in traditional ways, all those models will say don't do it. But what we've seen in sales after 1 year and continuing to grow after year 2 and 3, it really, really helps.
Yeah. So the financial return is there. It takes some time.
Yeah.
But that's because you have to get in there 1, 2, 3 years before your buyer is primed to make that purchase.
Exactly. And again, this comes to premium, luxurious, and storytelling brands. I don't think that Nike would ever shy away from above the line campaign that's true brand because they couldn't trace the ROI to direct sales. I actually think that was a huge reason why they stuttered a little bit, was because they tried to make all the ROI linear, easy to trace. And that's just not how that's not how human emotions and human behavior is steered, in my opinion.
Yeah. When you look at all the campaigns you run throughout your, I mean, there's so much going on in your sports partnerships. What percentage of your budget do those partnerships make up?
Oh, I don't want to get myself in any trouble.
Do you treat these like your flagship campaigns, or do you have, big global campaigns on top of all of this?
These sports partnerships have to be a component of, not a driver of.
Yeah.
Right. So they're a piece of it, but we can't live or die by any of these sports partnerships. They have to be additive. We look at it as the sports partnerships almost like another platform. We have all the Google platforms, we have Meta platforms, we have Pinterest, we have above the line, we have out of home, and we have sports partnerships. So it just fits in seamlessly. Some are more important than others, but I will say our sports partnerships are not drivers of our success, and we will never look at them as such.
Yeah, it's like another channel.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What's the long-term goal? I mean, you said yourself, not everyone's going to be a fit. You don't want to be in every stadium. Where would you want to be? What does it look like long-term?
I think that long-term, for me, the goal would be to do more without watering our messaging down or our commitment to excellence through experience, not lessening that at all. And to tell more stories of individual athletes. I mean, we just shot a pretty cool story with Giannis Antetokounmpo. We flew to Athens. We interviewed him and his wife, and we are telling an in-depth story there. We've done it with Steph Curry. We've done it across multiple athletes, Cooper Cup, to continue to tell those stories, but then also to continue to be good people. And whenever we partner with these athletes or these teams, there's always a philanthropic effort that's attached to it. We always like to invest in the community and give back. And we don't do it. A lot of times people don't know it because we do it. It's the right thing to do. We make huge donations. We supply a huge amount of product. And we never say, look at me, look at me. We do it because it's the right thing to do. And word of mouth spreads. So people fall in love with our brand that way as well.
Yeah. Right. So the brand is showing up big in the stadium, and it sounds like you're doing those storytelling elements. How do you think about that, the content aspect of it? Do you have a recurring strategy for those, or is it really just as the opportunities come up?
It's as the opportunities come up, but there is a standard. I think that one thing that we've embraced this year versus I would say the prior 2 years is our commitment to high production value as well. There's always going to be a need for a place for UGC style content, but we want to invest in high production value so we can take and extend the hyperlocal campaign to span across CTV, out of home, targeted ads to tell a story, not linking to anything, but so it can be spread apart across multiple platforms and the message can grow. And I truly believe that production value and content, that's the new POS display. That's the new in-store display, especially as in-store purchases start to span from, 50-50 to 70-30. And then so much of consumer behavior is shifting to purchasing online. So the production value becomes an in-store display, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So you're seeing that that shift back to online again, like you have about 70% of your purchasing happening online?
100%, yes. Yeah. And it ranges from with different trade partners, but across if you were to average it all out, 70-30.
Yeah. Do you knowing that you're managing multiple brands, that now there's the clothing aspect, there's pets, there's luggage, do you think that the sports partnership strategy is something that can spread across all the brands, or is it really unique to the baby side of things?
Oh, no, we're spreading it across everywhere, especially when it comes to the Hedgren side. I think that there is a fun story to tell with travel, but also when it comes to brand identity. One of my good friends, Austin Lachter, he started his own creative agency, and we were talking about this project, and he's helping us with our latest campaign. But diving deep into travelers using a product and showing up, buying the product to be who they want to be when they land and embrace a different identity whether it's hats off, feet up, or whether I'm there for business. And it's all about the mindset and how these products can help you in that journey, but also there's a story to tell. So when I think about athletes and I think about what goes into travel, especially if you're a family man or if you're on back-to-back of a road trip and you're traveling to multiple cities, or whether you are a sports team worker and you're traveling with the team, you're a coach. There's all of these stories, and there's something that connects them. It's the product. Mm-hmm. I want to tell those stories. The cost of purchase is a lot lower than what it is for a Nuna product. I do think that there is a chance to morph into a bit more of a focused ROI strategy in terms of sales. I think that when it comes to luggage, bags, and backpacks, there is a bit more of a spur of the moment purchase. There's more quantity purchase. And so we can tailor the assets to be more traditional, like we did at Adidas. We did a lot of firsts at Adidas, and again, a big part of why I was successful at Adidas is because I looked at problems a different way. When it came to our team partnerships, we're no longer the official apparel provider. That does not mean, in my mind, that I want to give up selling product in arenas. So we were the first brand to open up a player store in an arena at Adidas. So when it came to Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz, we opened up a Donovan Mitchell store. Nike was not too happy about that, got a lot of complaints, but there was nothing you can do. And again, that talks about the prep beforehand, about knowing how you want to structure this deal and how you want to attain as much of the prior strategy and flexibility that you had before. We were the first to do that, put that in the Utah Jazz arena, give them their own shoe that only players who went to the camp, they were able to receive. We weren't selfish. Again, we weren't insecure. We brought some of Donovan Mitchell's other brand partners, such as Body Armor and Stance, into the store, and we had a true Donovan Mitchell store and arena.
That was driven by Adidas.
That was driven by Adidas, right? So it's different per brands, and I do want to stress the difference of why we do what we do at Nuna, and that may not be the best for other brands, especially when it comes to structuring a package.
Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking about that, does that mean having more retail opportunities like on site potentially, or does it mean just like becoming the preferred luggage provider for athletes? Like you want them pictured walking out on the runway with your bags? Like, what does that look like?
I think there's an element of it. I think that I would love to have athletes previewing it and using it. But again, if I think about visibility, how visible is a tunnel walk going to actually be? Can I stretch that content to reach a wide range of people and potential consumers? Probably not. So if I'm going to use an athlete, I would rather have a story to where we can control the content and we can control the scale. I think that if I'm creating a new partnership package for a brand like Hedgren, I want to get as many eyeballs on the actual product and point as much traffic as I can to areas to where they can touch and feel it and purchase it.
Yeah.
And so I think that becomes the difference.
Yeah.
With Nuna, people are going to look for the product and look for a way to test it out themselves. That may not be the case for a backpack or a suitcase. So for me, driving behavior or initiating behavior, steering behavior to dive deeper into the product or go and touch and feel it.
So for Nuna, a luxury, super high-end, one-time purchase, you're thinking top of funnel brand building. But for luggage, you're really focused on mid and bottom of funnel, like getting them to make that purchase, because it's not hard to drop $200 or $300 on some luggage or a backpack in a moment versus.
But also to your point, you said high-end luxury, but people know who Nuna is. We're starting this brand Hedgren pretty much from zero. Yeah. So the model has to flip. There is a brand awareness component. There is a product awareness component that we need to integrate into said sports partnership or campaign to get people feeling comfortable. And I want to get to a point to where I always want to compare our product versus the industry leader. So I'm not shy about attacking competitors because number one, I won't market a brand that I don't believe in its product. And I feel like that's the quickest way to building a brand is to tell good stories, but also put your product against the industry leader and the competitors. And what better way to do that than when people have a few beers, they're enjoying the game and they're releasing all of these endorphins and
Yeah, that's cool. So you're thinking, similar strategies, but slightly different tactics, I think, for each of the brands based on price point, how that shopper is making a purchase, and also just general brand awareness.
100%. Yeah. And I have an amazing team to do that. I can't stress enough how hard it is to scale partnerships and to offer unique experience, let alone for one brand, but across multiple brands in multiple cities during the same time that overlap.
Yeah. Cool. Does the massively growing popularity of the WNBA start to shape some of what you're thinking and planning?
Yes. We're in final contract negotiations with a few women's teams, WNBA teams right now. I want to say, but I don't want to jinx it and or get anybody in trouble. But I think that's the start why we focused on PSG so much on the global side, because to start, our sports partnerships were a way to get us familiar with dads. But now there is a growing level of sophistication with our sports partnerships and how we span. And we do feel like WNBA and women's sports offers another unique opportunity to tell those stories. And I do think that when it comes to, football around the globe, I don't think that there's any sport that does women's sports justice like football globally. I think that they're best in class. And I do think that now the MLS, when it comes to North America, I feel like that same level of luxury, premiumness, and attention to detail is happening as well. So our partnership opportunities in North America are endless because of that. And we have two big ones that I'm really, really excited. Hopefully in a month from now, it's done and we're announcing it. But there's nothing like it.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, just seeing, we our women's team here in Vancouver, BC is really taking off. Obviously, Portland, where you are, it's been a huge thing for a long time. And I know WNBA is coming back to Portland as well. Super exciting. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Good stuff. Well, I just think like the tunnel walks alone for women in the WNBA right now have been so compelling from a fashion standpoint, and seeing the brands that have been jumping on there. I mean, it opens up so many opportunities for smaller up and coming brands, which I'm sure is on your radar for your growing brands.
Yes, yes. I think that the brand psychology behind the impact of tunnel walk, it's one of the few moments to where it feels like, I mean, we're going to call it an ad because that's what it is, but it's curated by the athlete themselves. And it's hard for an athlete to curate something that resonates, with it not to come out cheesy or like an ad per se. And there's something that's special about a person being free and getting to do whatever they want to and competing against others. So it's almost like a form of competition. But none of the WNBA tunnel walks, unlike sometimes you see in the NBA, none of them feel bought.
Yeah.
Like it feels like there's true player inspiration, athlete inspiration. It feels like the moment is truly curated by them. Yeah. Because consumers today, they can smell an ad and they feel an ad and they don't want to be manipulated. They steer away from it. So,
and that's what adds to the impact of it. You know, they've made this choice. It's pure self-expression. This is what they wanted to wear. It's not what they were forced to wear on a magazine cover.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Amazing. You mentioned this. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. You talked a little bit about just generosity being a part of Nuna's strategy. And I think lots of brands, you know, have give backs and they'll make a big deal about it. I think you all go, you know, pretty far beyond that. You mentioned, you know, throwing baby showers for military moms. There was a big donation to Bison Athletics at Howard University. Obviously, you know, there's some exposure for the brand there, but I know there were also donations in LA after the fires.
Yes.
What is this for Nuna? Is it a growth strategy? Is it just a part of the company's ethos? Is it both? What does it do for you?
It's a part of the company's ethos, and it's not a growth strategy for us at all. And I would say the proof of that is you don't see us amplify it. We amplify it if we're looking to drive traffic or more awareness. But even when it came to our Howard partnership, we didn't blow it up. We did it because it's the right thing to do. When it came to the LA fires, we didn't blow it up. We did it because it was the right thing to do. And I think it comes back to, again, it has to go both ways. Are you secure with being a luxury brand? If you are, you can do things without wanting anything back. And you don't need anything back. And that's why I'm blessed to work for this company, because our owner, our president, whether it comes to product development, whether it comes to give backs and all of our philanthropic efforts, we do it because it's the right thing to do and we don't want anything in return. And I can't tell you how much product we donate throughout the year. I can't tell you how many foundations, the Emily Kay Foundation, the Milwaukee Diaper Mission, you mentioned the military wives, Howard University, but also individuals. And I don't want to throw any names out there, but we sponsor individuals in their career journey when it comes to their education. We don't tell anybody about it. We give people chances. We help people along their way, and we don't want anything in return. And that's why I'm proud to work for the company. Yeah.
I mean, this might be kind of like peeking behind the curtain, but what is it about the company that motivates that? Because, you don't have to do that. You can still be a successful brand without doing that. Why generosity? Why is that important? What is it about the company that makes it motivated by that?
I think it starts with our founder's mission. I think that he wanted to create a brand that helps others, and he wanted to provide a safety component. I don't know why, but the word insecure keeps popping up in my head. He wants families to feel secure, and he doesn't take any shortcuts. And he's built the brand by doing the right thing over and over. And I think he's fallen in love with the karma and the goodwill that returns, because it stretches out, whether it's how well he pays employees, whether it's the opportunities he provides, whether it's when it comes to our return policy and our warranties and the give back. He wants to do the right thing because I think he's seen so many brands that do the wrong thing, and he sees so many leaders who've done the wrong thing as well, that fallen in love with doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And it stretches across everywhere where we're present.
Do you think that's a luxury of being a founder-led business? You know, like having come from a huge corporate business, do you think that would be possible at an Adidas or a Nike? Or do you think it has to be founder-led in order to do that kind of generous giving?
No, I think Nike does a great job. I think Adidas does a great job. I think Nike, Adidas, Patagonia, Apple, I think that they all do a good job. I think that the level in which we do it is probably made easier due to it being founder-led and there's not a board, because there's never a time to where we have to make tough decisions that sacrifices quality or speed, and we're not focused on margin. So yeah, I would say so, because you and I both know that when it comes to earning reports or when it comes to business doing bad, the first thing that goes is usually the people. And at our company, for example, when, I think every company was hit by the tariffs or they were hit by COVID, he made a commitment not to let go of people, and that we'll figure it out. And I think that's duplicated and magnified through every other way in which our brand operates. So 100%.
Yeah. So you probably felt a lot of alignment with him in terms of your leadership style.
Oh, yeah.
Based on what I know. Tell me a little bit about it. You've talked about, hiring talent that is better. That comes with that security piece as well. It takes a lot of security to hire people that you believe are more talented than you.
Yes.
How do you empower your team? You have your hands in so many different things. Obviously, you need to be empowering others. How do you approach that?
I think my leadership style is defined by, well, one thing, a bunch of leaders that I had before that were either great or were not so great. I think there's a tendency when it comes to team building and leadership and being in a corporate environment that people forget that how people make a living for their family and feed their family and their lives can be determined by the outcome of a brand or a project or a quarter. And when you're paralyzed by, does my boss believe in me? When you're paralyzed by, oh, I made a mistake, I can't make another. When you're paralyzed by a bunch of these factors, you don't take risks. And you don't believe in yourselves and you don't necessarily do what's right. And so a big thing for me, again, I've had amazing bosses. Chris McGuire was huge for me. He let me lead that partnership discussion, and any mistakes he covered for. And I've had bosses who've done the other thing, who've taken credit from me and made my win there. And you know that sucky feeling you have when you get home of someone doing that for you, and you it's not going to last long. And so I didn't want to be a teammate or a boss that made anybody feel that way. That doesn't mean that I'm not honest with the realities of where we are when it comes to business or if a mistake was made. But it's never finger pointing, and it's empowering. And in today's world, that's the only way a brand or a team will be successful, is to have freedom to operate and to feel empowered and to feel like I can make these mistakes. And you don't want to feel like that as a boss either. You don't want to be the one driving that negative feeling. That feels crappy. And the last thing I would say is I am very much so, I know that it's the right thing and it leads to success. But why else would I get to this position if I can't create an environment that my daughter would be proud of when she enters the workforce, or my son, right? Like you don't get, I never thought that I would be a C-suite executive. But then when I got into some of these rooms and I started to look around, and I'm like, wait, that's what this is. Well, that's not too impressive. And wait, that's the one that's your level of prep, or that's your idea. Well, I can do that. And once you gain the confidence, the next thing to unlock is for someone to believe in you and to lead that way. So
sometimes you just have to see how low the bar has been for some of your predecessors to be like, whoa, I can go way beyond this.
Oh yeah, but I do think that one area that I'm encouraging, I'm positive, but there are tough conversations that need to be had. And so I think that because I offer praise, I think that because I'm encouraging, nobody takes it personal when I have a tough conversation. Now, now everybody's going to say that I'm a good boss. I don't think that I'm batting 100. I don't think that I've done everything right. But most of the time, the tough conversations aren't met with a defensive nature or retaliatory nature because they know that it's coming from a good place and a place of protection. And that's one thing that one area that I feel like leaders have not been coached to do is to have that tough conversation. And then I have that tough conversation up. I talk about how free we are with the ROIs and being able to have team partnerships that are different across the board. Those are tough conversations to have above as well, in partnership with our CFO, our president, and our owner. But I have those tough conversations, and so they don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like whether you're managing down or managing up, you're earning the right to have those hard conversations.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
You've mentioned a bunch of great leaders that you've had over the years, which makes me think you've probably heard a lot of great advice over the years. What is the best piece of brand or marketing advice you've ever received?
Ooh. The best is probably nobody knows anything until you know it.
Tell me more about that.
I used to be impressed when I was 22 years old coming into the industry and being a part of these meetings and hearing all this terminology and hearing this polished professional speak and all of this, business acumen and word and all of this. And I was intimidated. I started to feel insecure. And then I realized that it's experience and the ability to attain knowledge is just through effort. It's not that they knew something that I couldn't. It's that they were either afforded the experience or they went and got the information. And that's helped me quite a bit when it came to contract negotiations. I had only been reading contracts for a year before that. Right? And it compared to my partners in NFL and MLB, they could probably read a sports contract to where when I first started, it took me 2 hours to actually comprehend it. And it probably took them 10 to 15 minutes. That just means that it's going to take me longer and I got to put the more time in to do it. But once I get it, I got it.
Yeah.
And once I got it, I got it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's the path to knowledge. Don't be intimidated by it. And that's helped me as we talk about, again, making new ways in industry first in sports partnerships, what I've done, but also how can I take those sports partnerships and how can I translate that knowledge, that looking at a problem differently into other partnerships like Uber, which is a tech partnership. Nobody in our industry has any tech partnerships. We're there or an automobile partnership like BMW, or I can span that. And now when it comes to AI, the big buzzword, how can we use AI? Well, there's a lot of stuff that just means nothing. A lot of jargon salad, word salad that means nothing. But I'm not going to be behind when it comes to understanding how to use that tool to propel the business forward. Even if I'm not an engineer, even if I didn't go to MIT, I'm going to understand it. And you know what? It may take me 3 months longer than everyone else to figure it out, but I'm going to get it. And once I get it, I got it. Yeah. So that's probably the best advice.
And they all went through that same thing. It took them 2 hours to read the contract when they started, and they had to put in the reps to get to the point where they can get it in 15 minutes.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
You mentioned 2 other partnerships. You mentioned BMW, Uber. I know there's also been a partnership with Vogue. Are those also driven by marketing, or are they driven by product, or because you're doing a lot of both? Is it all you?
Like with Uber, it actually started with a conversation with our head of trade marketing. It started with, we were doing a special event. I believe it was with Nordstrom, and we wanted to curate rides for families to the event. and we saw a need there. And so she reached out to Uber, and she was saying, hey, can I do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, do whatever you want to. Reach out to whoever you want to. Like, let's get it done. And then we had our PR agency help us track down the right person. And I believe our first contact was Molly, who leads partnerships there. She was a parent, and she used Nuna, and she loved it. And again, it's a great partner who provides a premium experience, and their commitment to that experience makes them a perfect partner for us. And so ideas for a lot of our partnerships, whether it's Liberty London, that came through our biggest partner, Nordstrom. They saw a unique opportunity to tell a story there. A lot of our partnerships come from ideas from coordinators, and we have an environment to where every idea can be heard by their manager and can be laddered up. There's always a filter there, but there is no stifling ideas. And when you do that, I don't want to come up with every idea by myself. I think that my job is to, yes, come up with a few partnerships that could work, but to be the evaluator of the return and the fit, and to be the filter there, not to come up with every idea.
Yeah, probably another testament to your leadership style that coordinator level staff can have ideas that ladder up to, a global head and actually get their ear.
Yeah, and there are some good things about my leadership style, but there also are some bad things about my leadership style. And I will say that my team covers up for a lot of the bad areas in my leadership style. So I want to give them a shout out for that. I'm not Gandhi.
I think we can all say that as leaders.
Yeah.
Fair. Nevertheless, you still do need to be paying attention to what's cool. You need to have your ear to the ground. You need to be able to vet those ideas. Where do you look for inspiration, and what brands do you always keep an eye on? What campaigns are you inspired by right now?
Oh, wow. I was listening to a podcast, and one of the actors was talking about Christopher Nolan. I believe it was Christopher Nolan. And they were saying that why he's so successful is he creates movies that he wants to see. And so I do believe that what inspires me and what I'm able to take and I would say ingratiate and point Nuna in certain directions are brands that I use every day and that I become fans of. I think my team is going to, if anybody from my team is listening to this, they're going to roll their eyes and be like, oh, I'm so out of here. But like, I'm a Leon Dore for me. That was the first brand that unlocked a different level of understanding and approach. They post pictures that have nothing to do with the brand, but it has everything to do with their brand. They have a content creation structure that spans across multiple mediums, multiple genres, and yet it still feels New York.
Yeah.
Now, New York is pretty wide, but then they incorporate a certain look, feel, tonality, and all that. But then they incorporate music, and then they incorporate a unique shopping experience, and it's centered around basketball and culture, and it's something that's so well done and so well imitated.
Yeah.
Like it's truly, it's imitated. I'm inspired by a lot of the big brands such as Apple and Uber. But in another area, I'm really, really inspired by film and cinematography. I think that there's so many ways to connect with a consumer, but I do feel like the movie industry and shows, there's so many unique ideas there. All marketing is having a conversation through multiple mediums. And that's what cinema provides me.
Yeah. What are some of your top films that you would always go back to?
Oh, top films that I will always go back to. I would say I love directors, I love actors, but for example, I love watching Denzel in 3 different films. And because they're so different. I love watching him in Training Day because I feel like he transformed into this horrible person that oddly had charisma and buy-in. So I love that. Then I love to watch him in Fences, to where it's almost like Broadway. It's it's a play, and I know he does the play, but the film felt like a play. And he's not a handsome guy. He's a complicated, old, dirty man with a bunch of wisdom and wears his failures on his sleeve. and it's in complete contrast to who he was as Alonzo in Training Day. And then I end on Man on Fire, and then I see him, as the good guy who's fighting full range. And so I love to see that, and I love to see it with actors. Same thing with Leo. I think that you can point to 100 different Leo roles. I like to start with Inception. Don't do Titanic too much, but you can see him. And then the last one would probably be Cillian Murphy. And just to see him in, again, Batman, Peaky Blinders, and everything in between, right?
Yeah. That's so true. You're the first person that has referenced specific actors and their range in answering that question. And it's really reframing that question for me in a way that I appreciate.
Oh, for sure. I love it. I can talk to you about that all day.
Amazing. Well, we might have to pick that up another time because this wraps up our time together, but I've loved this. I've learned so much. You've made me think so much. I'm going to be thinking about how I can take some of those principles that you apply to sports partnerships and make them applicable to like a small brand that doesn't have the kind of budgets that you have, but still maybe wants to retain that premium feel or engage an audience in a fresh way. So thanks so much, Austin. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you so much.